Hello, our viewers. My name is Jimmy Akanshemeza, and we are still continuing with Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesigye, sharing with us his journey, the things the Lord has done for him. And thanks for tuning in, and we still proceed. So, Reverend, you are still sharing with us your story. I would love to know how finally you cross from being an agriculturalist, become this other side of government, and you're serving there. Because I'm imagining a farmer coming into, these two things are not adding up.
First of all, I studied agriculture, but I never practiced it. That is one thing I want to tell you. Why? Because of the economic environment of the day. I found out that in agriculture there was nothing there. If it was like now, I would actually have done more. But because now I'm more into farming, but by that time I was not into farming at all.
Maybe as we proceed, Reverend, the man we have today, those who missed the first episode, is the director in charge of religious affairs in this country. Is such a great man from the office of the president and ethics and integrity. Yes, you can proceed, Reverend. Yes.
So agriculture, I studied it after my O-level, but I never practiced it. In fact, after I got married, I went to do education, and I became a teacher, but I also taught for only 1 year.
You're still discovering your purpose.
Yes, exactly. I was looking at where my purpose lies in life, and where my calling lies. I think that is God has a purpose in one's life, and once your purpose is met, once you are able to meet your purpose in life, then can you be able to become meaningful to whatever course you have done. So I think studying the course is one thing, but also identifying with your purpose is another thing, because finally I got where my purpose was, because when I finished my education after getting married, studying as a teacher, which I taught for only 1 year actually, then in 1985 I got a calling, and by that time I had accepted Christ as my personal Savior and Lord. Young, very dynamic, very demanding, very assertive, the characteristics of young people, very proud, very arrogant. So God, in his amazing and in his own miraculous ways, called to me, like he did when he called Matthew and Simon Peter, where they were fishing, and got them straight-handed. So he called me to go and serve him. Unfortunately, one of the oral questions you answer before you go for ministry is, are you born again? And I qualified in that. But of course, it's one thing to be to say I'm born again.
Yes.
And it is another thing to be born again in practice. But
in reality,
in practice. So I went in 1985. By then the Bishop of Ankole, Bishop Mwesigye, may his soul rest in eternal peace, met my father and said, I want your son to go for theological training. And all along my father wanted me to, because he knew that there was a lot of money, a lot of fame, if you become a clergyman. He had seen many people who had humble background, and when they became clergymen, they were able to build homes, they were able to acquire animals. So, my father was someone who liked property a lot, especially cows. So I was called to go for training in one of our famous Bishop Taka Theological College in Mkono. By that time, it was the only theological college in the country, but also
that's the current UC, right?
Yeah, abused, of course. The theological college is abused because our college was commercialized, and there are many courses, law, but by that time it was only theology. So 1985 I joined the college, the famous Bishop Taka, and Bishop Taka Theological College, the motto was called to serve. So I began that training, and we did a diploma, Makerere University diploma, which was 3 years, rigorous and intensive. 3 years, non-stop. Today, 2-year diplomas are 2 years, but for us, we did 3, rigorous and intensive, Makerere University. So in 1987, I completed my diploma theological college, theological undertaking, and then I was ordained in December 1987. Posted in Mujaga secondary for only 8 months. In Rwampara, because Bishop Betungura posted me to his own area. He comes from Banama. And I served there for 8 months as a chaplain, then came for further training. Then I did my first degree now, the Bachelor of Divinity at Bishop Taka, but it was also not offered by Bishop Taka. This was Association of African Association of Institutions of Eastern Africa. Now, when you talk of Eastern Africa, we did papers with Malawi, with Kenya, with Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, all over, same papers. So my degree was East Africa, not Eastern Africa, but not East Africa. It was a degree for, in other words, bring together theological institutions, theological universities together. All, I think our headquarters were in Limuru. And so I did that one. Finished in 1991, posted at Ontario School, and I was a chaplain and a teacher, CRE. I taught so many people, including the Commissioner General, current of URA, and many others.
Well done.
And I spent 5 years at Ontario School, the famous Ontario. We resurrected the school with Mr. Stephen Kamwanda from King's College, Budo. That's the time Ontario had dwindled, had gone to the dogs. The famous Ontario of Kagame and Museveni, but we had to resurrect it. And I want to tell you that to boast, if I boast in the name of Jesus. We resurrected it by bringing more. We restored the sanity in Ontario. So by 1995, I left when the school had already been restored, and I got a scholarship, a British Council scholarship. Also, it was unique in the way God loves me, because I think I was the first priest to get a British Council scholarship. I recall the director for British Council interviewed me for almost 2 hours, and then I got the scholarship to go to the University of Leeds, one of the prestigious universities in the UK.
Wow.
And then I did, this time I didn't do theology alone, but I did social sciences. So I majored in rural development. My master's was actually...
Just interject.
Yes.
How did you feel when on that plane going to that university? Imagine from such a village, looking at your background.
Actually, the first time to go to the plane.
Yeah.
my first time to move, no, my first time to move with a small plane was from Mukono to Kigali, when the whole of the West was cut off in 1985. You recall, you people, you are young, 1985, when the Museveni's army took over the western part, the western axis, they cut off Katonga. So we had nowhere to pass. What happened? They had to get an Eagle Air that moved us from Mukono up to Kigali. So we entered Ankole from Kigali. First flight now, that one. So the second one and the biggest was the British Airways. Boeing. My friend. Oh, it was
like a dream.
That was a dream.
Like those were dreams.
Oh, my friend, the first. Moreover, you are traveling with none other than, now today the British Airways is no longer at Entebbe. They cut off their flights. But that was can you imagine 8 years from Entebbe to Heathrow in London, non-stop.
All the way from Russia.
And all the way from, you're talking even of Russia. Russia is more developed. All the way from Migina, which is not known on the map.
Where do you come from? I come from Migina.
From Migina. Migina is not even known, my friend. So, Migina, and the word Migina means soil, by the way. So, my home area was very soily, but also it was soil itself. Anyway, so from Migina to London,
Yes.
I reach Heathrow International, first time to land in London, and I found there, fortunately, someone who was working with the Ugandan High Commission, Don Nyakai Ugarian. I think he was serving as an under secretary, and he helped me to travel by the plane. I mean by the train from London to Leeds by train. It's a long journey, of course. So I reached Leeds. On reaching Leeds, I found there was the welcoming student scheme, which welcomed us and ushered me in the University of Leeds, one of the most prestigious. Of course, UK universities are classic, for your own information, especially those which are traditional. So they're all having. So I spent there. I did my masters in arts development studies, majoring in rural development. And then from there in 1997, I came to Mbarara University. My bishop, as a priest already, posted me as a chaplain, and I began St. Luke's Chapel in Mbarara University. Up to now, it's still there. But at the same time, I lectured as in the Faculty of Development Studies. We were actually lecturing development studies, the medical students, science-based students, as a service course. So in their first and second year, Pamela Mbabazi, who is the current chairperson for NPA, and I, we are the ones two of us actually, with the Charles Muchunguzi, began the Faculty of Development Studies in a science-based institution, teaching development studies, which is a multi-dimensional, but at the same time interdisciplinary course, to the medical students, to biology students, to those who are doing Bachelor of Science, because Mbarara University is science-based. So we taught that as a service course, and that was the brainchild of President Museveni, because he wanted those medical students to be exposed to the social economic construct of society. So I taught for 8 years. Can you imagine? Priest teaching in a medical school.
I can imagine.
That's how I'm telling you that the grace is sufficient.
So
Imagine the humble background that I've told you.
from Mijina.
From Mijina, and now I'm teaching in a university.
And finally, you find yourself.
And then from there in 2004, Archbishop Lukorombi, all the way from Nebi, imagine, becomes the Archbishop of Uganda. And then he called me. He had come there twice to preach in my chapel as a bishop of Nebi. You are going to be my PS. I said, what? Imagine. Can you imagine? You are PS.
Out of the blue, just...
Out of the blue. And you know, you can't become the PS of the Church of Uganda. You have to do an interview with a panel of judges. So I did an interview, were 9 of us. My wife was hesitant to come to Kampala. She refused because she's a farmer. She wanted to keep. The farming she did is the one that made our children go to school. Actually, she's the one who educated me, but also educated our children.
I love that. She took you to school.
Yes, she's the one who took me to school. She's the one who paid fees, because when I got married and I told her to go and do further studies, she refused. Me, I will educate my children. You go and study. You go and study with your children. And we went and studied. And she educated us. And so from that time between me and you, I surrendered all my property, cows, milk, to my wife. She's the manager of the farm. She's the one who looks after them. She's the one who sells the milk proceeds. Even the money that comes out, I don't know. Even if we are selling 500 liters or 600 liters of milk, she's the one who knows
a lady paying for the husband.
Yes, she's the one who pays.
Even
now, with the little meager resource I get from government, I ask her, do you have 2 million, mama? She sends it to me. She actually earns more income than I earn. But that one is because I entrusted her and I gave her that responsibility. So she, in practice, she's the head of the family.
You surrendered.
I did. And everyone knows she's the head of the family. So that is a big testimony that many men,
that's a very key point, by the way.
And which many men, including clergymen, including bishops, they cannot do.
I'm just imagining.
So in 2005, to cut the story short, I became the provincial secretary of the Church of Uganda. Provincial secretary means you are the accounting officer.
And you're still teaching at Mast, whether you have resigned?
No, I had to leave Mast. Okay. And I did the interview, were 9, as I told you. I was the number 1. So I became the PS, a contract of 5 years. So I did that contract. What did I do? The contribution I made as a PS for the Church of Uganda, still the Church of Uganda by that time was low. We actually had to rejuvenate to resurrect Archbishop Oromba and I and my colleagues. Number one, we integrated the entire secretariat. Number two, we actually produced the first ever provincial human resource policy for the Church of Uganda. Church of Uganda began in 1961, breaking out from the Anglican Church of Canterbury and became independent. But we didn't, the church did not have any policy, a human resource policy. It is in 2008 when I was a PS that we came up with the first ever provincial human resource that categorizes workers, both clergy and non-clergy, and salaries and whatever. Secondly, we integrated the secretariat because some departments were working as NGOs like planning and development, which was funded from outside. Thirdly, we renovated the office of the Archbishop. As you see currently, that office of the Archbishop was done during our time with Archbishop Oromba. Originally, it was asbestos. That was Erika Sabi time, Nkoyoyo, Okos, Silvanus one. But it is during the time of when I was a PS and Archbishop Oromba that office, even the palace was renovated, which where the Archbishop stays, called the palace. And we did so many other structures, review of the constitution, review of the canons, and many, but it was a short-lived 5 years. My contract was not renewed. And when I finished my contract, I didn't have a job, sir.
They didn't renew it after you
No. I sat. You know why? That the hand of the Lord was there, part of it. Maybe he saw there was something else preparing me. So I sat for 2 years. From 2010 to 2012, I didn't have a job and I was at home. So in 2012, I got a phone call at 8 a.m. in the morning from the president of Uganda. The first phone call, and I have never heard another one.
From the president?
From the president to the man in Mijina. And I was in Mijina. I didn't even have a home in Kampala, although my children, some of them studied here. So, they are seated, the president calls me, "Are you Reverend Mwesigye?" And then he tells me, "Can you go slowly and tell me your educational background? Go slowly. I started as you have asked." And then he said, "Now, Reverend, why didn't the church renew your contract?" I said, "I don't know, sir." Now, when I go outside and I woo investors, and they come here, they become frustrated. Now, you being a priest, won't you be of help to me? I hope you will not betray me. Because these people end up being asked bribes, commissions, and we lose them. They go to Kenya, they go to Rwanda. So your work, and I want you to listen, is going to be to expeditiously protect investors against frustration. I started State House Investment Unit, which is currently called the State House Protection Unit, headed by Nakalema. I am the one who pioneered it in 2012 in State House. And my work was protect investors against frustration. So I was blocking bribes, blocking MPs, blocking ministers, and it was not very easy. To cut the story short, after serving for almost 2 to 3 years, I ended up being frustrated instead of protecting them against frustration. And that frustration led me to meet the president. And I shared with him even what was transpiring. And these are big men and women. Because whenever an investor came, they want first to meet them. For you invest in Uganda, you have to. And that one frustrates some of them. Then, of course, others wanted the bribes because, you know, some of them favored that. They were coming from an environment where bribes were. So, but I ended up being frustrated. Unfortunately, because I serve a God who is so loving, hey, I told you that grace is sufficient as far as my life is concerned, as we're beginning this discussion. So the president, in his own wisdom, transferred me with my salary on a personal holder from State House to ethics and integrity, which is housed in the office of the president. I still pioneered the office that I am still in, Director, Ethics in charge of religious affairs. So there was no office that was coordinating and monitoring religious activities and operations in the country. There was cooperation or partnership and collaboration between churches and government. But the government did not have, actually during the time of Idi Amin, there was a ministry in charge of religious affairs. But after the collapse of Idi Amin regime, that ministry collapsed.
Wow.
So I am the one who began that office as a department. My work is to enhance collaboration and partnership between churches. So what did I do? What have I done so far? Number one, when they gave us that mandate, two of us, still two of us, who began that department in the directorate.
Reverend, as we end up this show, you've that position where you're director. Would love to know the impact. How have you been able to use your position, your influence, to change a few things in Uganda, most especially in church?
First of all, I don't have the mandate to change.
Influence. You can influence.
The problem is that the nature of the work that I do prevents me from causing change. My causing change is at minimal level because I work through other people. So at the end of the day, when there is change, it is the minister who will have done the change or the permanent secretary as head of department. But when I was appointed, first of all, we thought it wise, how do we coordinate this huge constituency of religious institutions in Uganda? How? How do we monitor them? Because Ugandans are notoriously religious. Everywhere you go, there is religion. And the churches are spread everywhere, mosques and churches. Is it easy? So we said we need a framework. And we started in 2016, because my appointment was in 2015. And in 2015, we started a journey of developing a national policy to regulate religious and faith organizations in the country. But not only regulating, but also to coordinate, because our role, especially as the directorate, is a coordination role. So, we began a journey. We are not yet there. We haven't reached there. Imagine 8 years down the road, we have not delivered that policy. The work of the policy, its objectives were about four. One, promote unity in diversity among the religious fraternity in the country, because they are divided. Even Christians are divided. Even Muslims, Chubuli and Old Kampala. Promote unity so that you can promote the common good together as a country. Two, streamline registration. Some churches are registered under NGOs, that's under Ministry of Internal Affairs. Others are registered under companies limited by guarantee, that's under Constitutional Affairs. And others are registered under lands like the Anglican Church and the Catholic Church as under trustees. So you see that fragmented registration process. We said we need to streamline so that when you register as a church. And recently the president actually echoed the same message in Jinja, where he said, I don't allow churches to register as NGOs. Number three was actually to enhance partnership and collaboration between the government and religious institutions.
And the fourth one?
To fight corruption, but also to promote national development so that religious institutions engage in national development. Like the parish development model. The churches have structures laid down that can be used by government to implement the parish development and other programs. And the fourth one is, of course, to promote the culture of transparency and accountability, not only in churches, but in the country. But up to now, we have not finished this policy. So that one, at least we have come up with a draft which is in completion. We are waiting one thing, the position of HE, but also to do a national validation for purposes of ownership. But secondly, what is it that I've been able to do? We have been able to establish integrity clubs in schools and universities. We were involved with the Family Life Network to establish the bank program at Makerere University. As you know, there were many strikes in Makerere and a lot of moral decadence at Makerere University and other universities, Chambogo. But we established the bank program. Bank means being a new generation with the Family Life Network. Wow. Me personally, I was involved with Mr. Stephen Lang, and we were together, working together to be able to establish that. In other words, rebuilding. I have been able personally to write articles in regard to rebuilding the moral infrastructure of this country, which have been published in newspapers. Of course, targeting the youth. I was involved in launching the Integrity Club at Bishop Stewart University, which has given birth to many integrity clubs in the western part of Uganda.
That's really a very huge
testimony. So now, secondly, I have been able to unite some of the religious and faith organizations, interacting with the Inter-Religious Council Uganda, where you find people not in harmony, yet they belong to one faith, like the Pentecostals. But the struggle still continues between me and you, my son. And I believe I cannot do much because as a government, we need a law. Government works through laws and regulations. Without a law, you don't have anything to protect you. You can be challenged that where do you get the mandate to do ABC? So we are fighting hard to complete that law, and we need you as a country to support us so that we have a law, because the job I'm doing, I am actually housing in my docket religious leaders. Some of them do manipulation, others do exploitation, others do a lot of havoc to society and communities in the name of religion or in the name of faith. Why? Because the Constitution gives them that freedom of worship.
Wow. So, Reverend, I just have this question as we finish. How would you want this world to remember you?
Good question.
70 years.
70 years down the road, and in the job that I'm doing, the world should remember me that I have been a person who has fought many wars and many fronts. I have failed in many areas. So remember me as a failure, but as someone who has succeeded because of the grace of God.
And are you contented in your heart?
Very much contented, because the grace of God is sufficient. I stumble a lot. I fail a lot, because even the Bible says that the righteous fall 7 times. But I have fallen many times. I have come up because the grace of God is sufficient.
Thank you so much, Reverend, for coming through for Holy Drive Show. We've learned a lot, and really we believe this will cause an impact on our viewers. I've picked a lot personally. One of the things I've learned is never to give up. We love you so much. It's been Jimmy Akanshameza, your host as usual, and I've been having Godwin on camera. Thanks for the great work you're doing, and the entire team work with the UBC and D24 TV. We love you so much. Until next Saturday, we love you so much. Shalom. Shalom.